and welcome to another edition of Buzzworthy, a podcast brought to you by the Hive Incubator, a place where your dreams take flight. My name is Temiloluwa, and I'll be your guide to navigating the exciting world of innovation and entrepreneurship. So if you feel like this is your vibe, like, share, and follow. And if you're watching us from YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So, quick question. Have you ever been in a situation where everyone around you keeps telling you, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, and everything is getting messed up? I mean, your startup is not moving forward, your bank account is practically playing hide and seek with you, and your friends keep sending you job offers, just in case. And even you are already considering that 95, we've all been there. And if that is you, the topic today is certainly going to help you because we are going to be talking about something that a lot of founders out there tend to ignore. And this topic is the hustle is not enough. I'm going to say it one more time for the bootstrappers in the back. The hustle is not enough. Don't get me wrong, we're not anti-hustle here. In fact, it is the hustle that got us in the room, but it is strategy that kept us in the room. In fact, it is strategy that helped us to build this building. We have all glorified struggling. In fact, wake up 4 a.m., wake up 5 a.m., 10 side hustles, pitching here and there with PowerPoints that you probably made on your phone. In fact, these are actually good if we think about it. But the fact means that a lot of us have already mistaken motion with progress. And I'm not saying this from some sort of wealth of knowledge that I've stashed somewhere. I have someone that will be joining me today. He has not just lived the hustle, he has dissected it and he has redefined it. He's more than just an entrepreneur. He's the director of the Cartel Incorporated Africa. He is also a business consultant. And his Instagram basically looks like a TED Talk. And he is Babalola Asulewon, also known as Babsthepanda. Hi, Babs.
Hi.
It's so nice to have you here today. Um, so I feel like I already did a little introduction, but I don't think I did justice to that.
Hmm.
Uh, could you tell us about how many businesses you currently run? Because I was going through your profile to keep track, and I'm like, nah.
Okay, so I run a conglomerate, more like a collection of businesses. And while we do that, I also work as a business consultant. We consult majorly for SMEs because for a fact, you know that there's a very huge gap before you transition from working at SME to making it a big company. So we focus more on consulting for SMEs. I have a food brand, I have a restaurant, I have an ice cream brand. I run a logistics company in Pamintu real estate. And I think one of the most exciting thing I do, which I love to do, is human capital development. You have a community of young people where we bring them together, to not to teach them anything per se, but to connect them to people that can, help them in their journey of entrepreneurship or, as a creative, what have you. So, all that masterminds, I have that thing. And just like I mentioned, it's more like one of the most exciting things I do because it's always lovely seeing young people wanting to do more for themselves. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Mention the fact that just like I say, a lot of young people want to do something for themselves. Most young people want to, just as I said, but they don't know how. They don't have the resources, and it's just so exciting to see that you are trying to build something that helps people with mastermind. I'm not going to talk about the ice cream part or the food part, but yeah, I'll talk about mastermind. I feel like it's really interesting. And now a lot of people would preach Ozu or work hard, or a lot of people are telling you, mention when you open TikTok or Instagram now, they're like, oh, spend a day with me. I'm waking up by 3:30 a.m. I'm waking up by 4 a.m. But like, no, no news. But now we're trying to like sort of pull the curtains back. And we're like, Ozzy is not enough. It goes beyond that. Why do you think Ozzy is not enough? And why do you think grades is not enough?
Okay, very interesting question. And I like how you framed the concept of it into the whole puzzle culture. Fine, I think it's very important for us to know that puzzle won't cut it for us. And I think primarily we should also recognize the fact that to find people with grit in today's world, it's a big thing. So I would not order to downplay the the importance of grit in what we do. Grit, I define grit as the strength of character in this sense, your identity, and it's very rare to see people with identity and they want to put it up. So of course, grit is very important in our lives as entrepreneurs. Yeah. So now, understanding also that grit would not cut it, grit alone would not cut it is why we are having this conversation. Of course, just like you pointed, strategy is very important. We in more in military warfare, we've seen instances where you see these generals in ancient times go into battles with 1,000 soldiers against 10,000, and surprising, you see them come out victorious. They do not just rush into these battles because to individual brothers and the individual power, right? They work with strategy, they work with instructions, they work following commands. So this is the importance of you know strategy in what we do, as entrepreneurs. So of course, grit is important, but it just might not cut it for us. And I also want to, you know, bring it together with the concept of entrepreneurship. I like to say that entrepreneurs and business owners are two different persons, right? So an entrepreneur would not settle. So because we are not settling with just grit, we want to extend it to being strategic with how we do business. So yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned that entrepreneurs would not settle, business owners probably settle at some point. Okay, so I hope we got that. But now let's say as an entrepreneur, I keep working hard, I keep putting in the effort. Just like I said, we should not downplay people's efforts. But I keep putting in the effort, I keep doing all I think I should do. I think in quotes. But how do I know when I'm making progress or I'm just stuck?
So I think it depends on how you measure your progress, to be honest. And when you say stuck, I really want to understand what you mean by, at a point where you are stuck. Because for most people, it's more like a mental warfare. It's a mental game. For most people, by virtue of, what is going on around them, right? They think they are stuck. So I would want to understand, when you say stuck, what are we talking about?
Okay, let's take for example, I have sort of the same business idea with my friend. I don't want to use the comparing because I feel like a lot of people um classify themselves as stuck once they start comparing with people. But now let's say for example, I've been working on a project for a very long time now, for let's say 5 years, and I realized that let's say in capital for example, I've only made a million in 5 years. And other than that, I do not want to say that making a million is little, but like probably relative to the idea that I have in my head and my projections, and I've only made like a million. Let's just say like I've only made like 1% of what I plan to make in 10 years. Or when we look at people now, I've not been able to have anyone on my team, or I've probably only had like one or two people on my team, whereas my projection was, oh, in 5 years, I should have had about 20 people on my team and all of that. That is what I mean by being stuck.
Okay. Okay. So I was going to say that the part that you are making with is a big thing when it's not talking about that. So I think I get it now. And I would want to say that it's a personal thing, right? And to say that would mean that each and every one of us have a very big role to play as entrepreneurs, as creatives, as a business person. It is normal that most of the time where we project ourselves to be, we don't get there because of certain things that we go through in our environments now. Let's use Nigeria as an example. I'm 100% sure that those who had projections, business projections, the beginning of this year, they've had to, go over it and, make adjustments more than 5 times. And we are seeing in April. So there's a very big chance that the way you project things just do not follow that way, right? And it's perfectly normal. So I think it's more of the whole comes with the whole package, right? It's not supposed to be a walk through the park. And I feel like that understanding would help us as entrepreneurs to overcome a whole lot of challenges. It is never easy. So understanding that it is not easy means that when you see yourself as stuck or when things are really not doing according to plan, more like a challenge for you to overcome rather than, oh, I am stuck at this place. So just like I said, I feel it's a personal thing, and understanding that entrepreneurship is never a work should be pack would help you in your journey as a entrepreneur.
Okay, okay. You mentioned something about Nigerian and how we've probably made plans, like changed our strategy like 5 times this year, and it's just April, just as I said. But now there are so many things that should I say do not particularly work in our favor as an entrepreneur in the country. Because let's talk about light issues, let's talk about inflation and all of that. But now in Africa generally, how do you think? Because if we have all of these issues, I think it's going to be a bit hard to compete with people with similar ideas in other well developed countries, in other well developed continents, and to excel more than they are. How do you think that we as entrepreneurs in Africa could stand out?
Hmm, that's that top one, standing out. So to bring the whole thing together, Africans standing out in the global markets, you know, when you have to compete with people with similar ideas, but of course, different resources. Hmm. I think we have a very big problem in Africa, and I do not want to see it more as in a problem of resources or the way the economy is treating us. I really also want to see it as you know small mindedness, and I think it's a very big problem we have in this continent as a whole because we we think we cannot compete because our resources are minimal compared to the people we have to compete against. And most of the time it is true. But in most cases, it gives us this lukewarmness to work just because we feel whatever about the am I trying to compete with that boy in Harvard? All these narratives we have in our head. I think as Africans, staying true to our identity as Africans is important. And I also think that while we stay true to our identity, we recognize the fact that because our resources are minimal, that we have to work harder. You've seen instances of Africans leaving, Nigerians leaving this country to further their studies, masters, PhD over there, and you see them coming out with first class, what's it called, honorary award and the other. And this same person probably graduated with a 2 in Nigeria, right? So the energy is different and it shows them a go to global stage. So I don't want to see it as we we are trying to compete with people who are, of course, far ahead of us in terms of resources and technology limits. I see it as we using what we have right now, preparing ourselves for what is to come.
Okay, okay. Just as you said about Nigerians or Africans generally being small-minded, I recently had to go over a certain application, sort of from people all over the world, and one thing that really stuck with me was the fact that Africans, I mean, I'm talking Nigeria, I'm talking South Africa, Ghanaians, sorry, they in their applications, it was more, of, oh, please, I'm from Africa. I don't have this. We don't have these resources. Just accept me. I will do whatever it takes. Whereas those from other countries, they were talking about what they were able to do. It was like Africans were trying to gain sympathy, sort of. But yeah, so now that's now one thing that now brings us back to Ozu because we've realized that Africans are hustlers, if we're going to be honest. I mean, let me just say Nigerians in particular, we are hustlers. Put us anywhere, we will thrive one way or the other. If it's that we have to have sleepless nights and all of that. But now the thing is, I've realized that a lot of Nigerians, maybe like they are moving in circles. It's like, okay, oh, when I make my first so amount of money or my first whatever, I feel like I've made it. Like, well, I don't need to once I continue putting that same effort, there's nothing else. I mean, then as time goes on, probably as inflation increases and all of that, exactly, now I realize that we are stuck on the same spot. But now, what do you think that we should do generally, other than just standing out, but to build a strategy? Did you get that? Like, okay, I'm trying to build something. I'm trying to do this. And okay, I already know that I should stand out, I should put in extra effort. But what strategy do you think has helped you as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a business consultant, that has gotten to you to where you are right now?
Mm, okay. So there's this popular saying that, you know, as fast as you can, try to move from, running a shop to running a startup. All right. And I tell people that this saying is limited to a certain group of people. And I say this because it is very difficult to convince someone whose daily objectives when they wake up is to make enough money to, eat and, cater for themselves. So it's difficult for you to convince that kind of a person to, oh, do you know that this business you have going can become bigger? It's not like they don't see, they just do not have that mental um effort to see it through. So it's a huge gap we are trying to, cover. And why am I saying this? There has to be a mind shift. And I keep saying mind shift because it is very important. All right. No matter where you are right now, no matter what you do, you make 2 million naira, 3 million naira in a month, in a year, that we've been fine. There's always a next level to it. And most times we don't see it until things just wrap around us. Did you get? So strategies at work, one thing I know for sure that has helped me um doing my learning phase up till now while I'm still learning is that I have I had tried to be a student and I have continued to be a student. Continue to be a student. I mean, at every given instance where I get, I want to learn. And I think most Nigerians, most Africans don't know what to learn. We don't read, we are not willing to learn. We think that our experience would guide us through what we are currently going on, forgetting that most times it's better to learn from other people's experience. There's a popular saying that goes, if you want to learn something from an African, put it inside a book. Generally, they don't see Africans as readers, right? And it is the truth. Most of us do not read. They say readers are leaders. Most of us do not read. So I've been able to, commit myself to learning. And of course, when you learn, you open your eyes to a whole lot of possibilities. You think you are the apex of what you are currently doing until you pick up a book or you watch somebody's video and you just see them doing what you are currently doing, but in a different, in a bigger way. So I think understanding that there has to be a mind shift is very important. And also, it's important for us to commit ourselves to the process of learning just so that we, we are on par with, what is currently going on.
Okay. Okay, so basically what you're trying to say is mind shift. Because there's always something bigger. Okay. You mentioned something along the line of someone doing something, probably like just I said, from shop to a startup. If you have someone like what you're building now, if you have someone that joined your team and the person probably made some money, you were able to convince the person that okay, you can do better with what you're currently doing, and the person started excelling. But now because this person already made a little bit of progress, the person was like, I don't need you again. What is the first step that you think that you would take? Would you ignore the person or what would you do?
Okay, so I'm trying to get that question. So it is more of somebody working with me, they make some money, then they decide that they can be on their own.
Yes, yes, yes.
If I think most people seek independence, all right, and we want to be we want to stand alone, and I think most times if that is the situation, you let them stand alone. I think there's a lot to learn. Um, I'm going to integrate with the personal story just so that we really understand him what we want to talk about. I've had instances where I've had people work with me, after a while, they work with me as assistants, and after a while, they they feel like, I think I've learned enough. I want to be on my own. Right? I'm always very happy and excited for them because it's always video you see, but this guy is still working, this guy is still working. But then it's always most times I see them, run back, they going through one challenge or the other. But just because I knew that it's important for you to still give guidance, right? I try to, help out as much as I can. Just like I said, if I started, people seek independence. everybody seeks independence. So I don't think it's right to deny anybody or that.
Okay. Well, why I asked that question was, just as you know, the Hive has an incubator system running. And I know that there are several incubators out there. And recently, I was just thinking about it that as an incubator, as an accelerator, as a VC, um, when you put in a lot of resources into a particular individual or a particular business because you feel like this business is doing really well, and this person, you feel like this person has not gotten to the stage where they can stand on their own, and then because they've seen a lead to progress, they're like, I don't need you again, get out. You people are just cheating me, you're just wasting my time and all of that. It's like you're trying to convince them. You're like, okay, maybe not convince in particular, but you're like, you still have a long way to go. This is probably just the beginning. But eventually, they do whatever it is that they want to. Then the business probably crumbles and all of that. Have you ever been in that situation?
Mm, okay, so I think I get it now. I think it still boils out to the whole idea of most of us being small minded, right? It is difficult to convince someone to see the bigger picture if he are so you know locked in or dwelling in what is currently happening. I think the whole idea of an incubator is nurturing something that is not fully formed
Yeah.
to a point where they can you know um meet up to how they should be. All right, how they should be. So I think it's a difficult problem, to be honest, because it is more like you are trying to. Most people don't they have this thought of, oh, am I trying to be ripped? Am I trying to be cheated and all of that? So it's difficult to help people say that, but this is really for you more than it is for us. So they lack the patience of seeing things through to the end. So I think for an incubator, right? What I would say is um starting out with whatever egg has been placed in the incubator. I think it's important to let them see what the bigger picture is first. Because okay, this is what I mean. If I was to work with a fashion brand, all right, and we were to move from wholesaling or selling thrifts or whatever it is to owning a fashion brand or a clothing brand of your own, of course, helping them see that the next level to what you currently are is this. So at any point, if they decide to, and we are going to help you, we are going to guide you there. All right. So if at any point they want to move out before that phase, they know there's a loss. And I feel like it is not your problem. So I think the only thing we can do is just to help you see. If they don't have the patience to, walk with you through the end, there's really nothing we can do.
Yeah, okay. I feel like there are just times that I don't work directly with the incubator system at the Hive, but just that there are times that I see, not within here actually. I see a lot of people and I see maybe like strategies that have been put in place to help them. But just as I said, small mindedness. They are like, Nigerians have this mentality of you cannot cheat me. So like it's like the slightest inconvenience, they're like, are you trying to cheat me? Then they step back. And I'm like, can't you see the exactly like just wait. Like there are times that it could just be like 1 more month, 2 months, and your business is out there. But anyway, just as I said, small my deadness. Okay, one last thing actually. Is there anything you've already said small mindedness, but is there anything in particular that, like me now, if I was an African entrepreneur and I mean I'm doing well and all of that, or let's say I'm not yet doing well, what's one thing you would tell me to not do?
Hmm. To not do.
To not do.
I think what I'll tell you to not do is to never make it seem like you're not doing it. So I really like to preach positivity and help people see how negativity really messes up whatever it is they have there. So I think it's the truth lies in how we tell our story. To be honest, there's a popular African proverb that says, "Until lions have their own historians, the story of the hunt will forever glorify the hunter." It just goes to show that until lions have their own historians, people that can write and push it out. The story of the hunt would always praise the hunter. The hunter is always, the man with all the glory. So this goes to say that how we tell our story is very, very important as Africans. All right. So I think um one thing I'll tell you not to do as an African that is currently going through it as a business person or as an entrepreneur, as a creative, is to mind how you shape your story. Just like you mentioned, we gave an instance of how you know we were going through series of people, and you saw how Africans put it out. Oh, currently suffering and father of two kids. It's always pity stories, but then there are better ways to tell your story for people to accept you. So learn not to tell your story in a negative way. I think it's going to help you. It's going to help you open more doors compared to you just always putting it out. Going through it. My business just crumbled. It's a lot of negative energy. And I strongly believe that the things we say to ourselves matter a lot. So yeah.
I think what you say about story is really nice because a lot of us have been raised in a way that we sort of downplay our efforts. So it's like, oh, I put in 5 years of work and all of that. But it's still, a lot of us will still say, oh, it boils down to luck. I was just lucky. It's like I did not put in so much effort. Just as we were talking about LinkedIn earlier. And when you think about it, a lot of people on LinkedIn, they talk about their efforts and all of that. A lot of people are like, nah lie. But eventually, it's like building a story around what they went through. It might just be something that an average person would see and be like, I just did this, that's it.
Just when you use word.
Exactly. And then even you would be impressed that, oh, this person did this thing. So I think that it's really nice for us to be able to tell our stories in the right way because stories sell. Like, a lot of people would not buy a product just because it's a random product.
Sorry.
Exactly. But once you put a story behind that product, a lot of people
For sure.
would want. Okay, anyway, thank you very much, Baz. It's so nice to have you here. And once again, everyone, my name is Simnulua Olalire. And this is Buzzworthy, a podcast brought to you by the Hive Incubator, a place where your ideas take flight. You don't forget to like, share, and follow. And if you are watching us from YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Until the next time, keep working hard, keep putting in that effort, and make sure you get that strategy in place because Ozu is never enough. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye. Bye.